Welcome. You're watching Rugby with Rifle, a podcast about all things rugby and life, with your host, Danny Pabone and Rifle Scudder.
Welcome to Rugby with Rifle, a podcast about all things rugby and life. As always, I'm joined here with my friend Rifle. Rifle, how are you doing, sir?
Been good, thanks, Danny. I think I'm almost hydrated again and over my sunstroke and heat wave experience in Washington, D.C. of the weekend, but doing well, thank you. How about yourself?
Doing well as well. What Rifle is referring to, we had our wonderful trip to DC this past weekend, July 19th, or the weekend of July 18th, 19th, and 20th, where we watched the men's and women's USA Eagles play. So it was a great weekend. However, it was hot. And those stairs, those stairs were steep. We had a good leg workout that day. So yeah, but nonetheless, regardless of the weather and two weather interruptions where the game was pretty much stopped. Well, the first it was delayed, and then about at the I believe the 28th or 29th minute of the game, there was another weather delay because apparently there was lightning in the area. So they had game stoppage during the men's game as well. So, but nonetheless, great weekend, great time with your family, Rifle, and with a few friends that came from Florida and Georgia. Nonetheless, it was a great weekend.
It was wonderful. Yes, thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yes. And if you notice, everyone, in our introduction to the podcast, you're going to see a few photos that we took throughout the weekend. So, yeah, you're going to see all the fun that we had at the stadium. And then we went out to dinner and all that good stuff. So, yeah, great weekend. Other news in the rugby, the British and Irish Lions tour. Wow, what a close one against let me get the name right. First Nations and Pacifica team. What a close one. Even though the Lions pulled off the win, they only won by 5, but it was a hard fought game. And you just mentioned before we started, Rifle, this is the closest game the Lions have fought. Well, except for the one that they lost to Argentina. They lost their practice match to Argentina, which was the very first game. So yeah, another close one for the Lions and a hard fought, tough game against the First Nations and Pacifica team.
Yeah, so all their games in that they've played in Australia, this is the one that they really had to come back, fight hard to win. And Pacifica did so good. I'm telling you, those guys did well, and it would be very interesting to see if some of those players are picked. I know they've picked Saturday's team already. I didn't see any of the Pacifica players in them, but maybe for the next test, who knows?
Mm.
But they really put up a fight, and the British and Irish Lions had to give it their all to come back. So a wonderful effort by the guys. Pacifica, they did well. And they had the Lions on the back foot at one stage, so it was good for them. So we'll see if some of their players can actually play for Australia. That would be wonderful. So very good on them.
Yeah, we shall see. We shall see. They put up um, a good effort in a game that they lost, which happens many times in sports. You have a great game, but for whatever reason, you still fall short. Happens a lot in sports, but wow, what a game it was. Very close score, so should be interesting to see how the Lions do against Australia in the second test match of the tour. So we shall see.
Yep.
And now, what we're going to get into again, just talking about our wonderful weekend that we had watching some USA Eagle rugby. with the men's team playing England and with the women's team playing Fiji, the one thing that caught my eye, right, for which I was excited about, was the crowd. So for the women's game, there was about a little over 15,000 fans, which is amazing. And then once the men played, apparently, again, this is from what I read online, there was a couple thousand more. So apparently, there was a little over 17,000 fans in total throughout the day that came to watch the USA Eagles, men's and women's. And let's be honest, also we had quite a few English fans as well. So yeah, it was great to see, you know, throughout the day, the 17,000, a little bit over 17,000 fans in the stadium cheering on, whether it was for England, whether it was for U.S. men's or U.S. ladies, or we even had some Fijian fans as well. I saw a few Fiji flags as well. So all in all, it was just a great day of people getting together, watching some great rugby. People from England, I assume from Fiji, U.S. fans, all types of fans. It was just a great thing to watch throughout the day. So yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, I do believe if the weather was a little different, if it worked out better, there would be more, maybe
Hmm.
even, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 more. Because when the ladies played, that was what, that was 12 o'clock.
It
Was it
was two. They kicked
one
it.
or
They started at two.
two? So we arrived there at 12. We had to wait. So they played at 2. And at Sun, it was absolutely brutal. And
Yes, it
then one
was.
would think maybe with the 15, just over the 15,000 for the ladies, that it should have cooled down a little and more people would come normally for the men.
Mhm.
But then with the lightning and the weather and having to leave and take shelter under the stands, come back, do it again, do it. So I'm thinking maybe if the weather was a little bit better, we might have had better numbers. But 17,000 for a game, it was spectacular. It was what a wonderful atmosphere.
Mhm.
No one fighting, no one shouting, no one screaming. It was just a lovely family experience. And well, not both teams, all 4 teams had
Mhm.
supporters, whether it were the Fiji's ladies, whether it was the USA Eagle, men or women. England, they all had a lot of supporters there waving flags and dressed up in their garb and their gear. So at the end of the day, it was a wonderful outing.
Yes, it was. And uh, just showing respect for other countries, all three national anthems were played: the Fijian national anthem, the English national anthem, and obviously the U.S. national anthem. Just like you say, all the fans standing up, showing respect to all the three different countries. Yeah, it was just an amazing thing to watch and just see. And I remember when we were walking down during our second inclement weather um, evacuation. Um, yeah, I just remember, there was a English fan gentleman. I believe he's from England because he had an English accent. So he's probably originally from England. Um, I really didn't ask him if he was here or if he was just visiting. But either way, he was an English fan. And I remember during our second evacuation, I just, spoke to him about 5 seconds before we walked down. And I was like, okay. And I remember telling you, okay, this final score is going to be 43 England. England is going to win 40-3. And I remember his father was like, oh, I hope so, because I believe at that time it was 14-0, if I'm not mistaken. Um, 14-0. And the final score was 40-5. So
Yeah.
I was close. I was close. So yeah, that was pretty cool. I wish I would have bet in the game. The over under.
Well, for the Eagles to get a try just instead of a penalty, so much
Yeah.
better. because if you're 40-0 down, it's easy then to just give up and say, oh, what the heck, we can't win this game, let's just try the next one. But they stuck in there, and with all their hard work, they got a try, which is great. So in my eyes, as I said, if we can get a try, that would be a win for us, because England, even though a lot of their players are not there, and some guys are playing for the British and Irish Lions, they still had, I mean, Ford playing at fly half, 100 games for England. They had, a lot of good players. So, the Eagles stuck in there. They tried. We are obviously, I say we, America is far behind the top tier nations in rugby. But as I say, to hang in there and get a try against England, that was good. That was well done. And they didn't put 50 on us. They stopped at 40. They could only get 40 because you can get so down in the dumps that you can just eventually, after halftime, you come back and you say, well, what's the use? Why even try? But
Yes.
they did. So 42-5 was a good score. Obviously we hope we can do better, the Eagles, but America scored, and America didn't, let the English get 50 on us. So at the end of the day, they learned a lot, good experience. You're playing against a world-class team, against world-class players. What do you expect? They did very well.
Yes, and just the one thing that I want to mention before we move on to what we want to focus on in this episode, which is a continuation of what we saw this past weekend with the U.S. team and everything, men's and women's, was, and please, if any of the USA men's Eagles coaches or players or fans are watching this, um, please don't hate me for saying this, but it kind of looked like England let us score at the end of the game. It's like because the men's the U.S. scored in the 82nd minute or something like that. So just watching the highlights and the replay of that last play, it was like, it kind of looks like they let us score, but nonetheless they scored. Um, Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe England was trying to defend and not let us score, but in my opinion, my humble opinion, it kind of looks like England was like, let's just let them score. We don't want to shut them out.
Well, 5 years from now in South Africa, we say, there's no comment in the scoreboard. So you're going to look and it's going to be 5 for America. It doesn't matter. Did they let them? We got to try against England. So well
Yeah,
done,
there you
US
go.
Eagles.
There you go. You got to try against England. It doesn't matter how it
We did.
happened.
Right. We stuck in there.
So, with that, what we wanted to just cover in this episode is just obviously, for if this is your first time watching this podcast, the whole premise of this podcast is to teach mostly the American audience, but also those who are not necessarily rugby fans, who are in other countries, but not necessarily rugby fans, just the game and the sport of rugby. And again, I've said this many times in previous episodes, being a fan of the American football, the NFL, for the past probably 3 decades now, the NFL is the king of American sports in this country, in the US. And just becoming a fan of rugby over the past couple of years through, again, something that we've spoken about before, an investment opportunity that just came to our, even though we weren't able to make the investment, but the sport of rugby, at least to me, came to mind through this investment opportunity. And just talking with you, spending time with you, and just producing and creating this podcast with you over the past, it's going to be a year and a couple of months now. Wow, I can't believe it. I've grown and continue to grow to love the game of rugby, and mostly because well, one of the big things about it, Rifle, is just the culture of rugby. Now, some people may say that what's the word I'm looking for? Fantasizing. I believe that's a word, and please forgive me if that's not a word. Some people may say I'm fantasizing the culture of rugby, but just watching over the past couple of years, I've seen that the culture of rugby truly is different. You know, it's a culture of respect, of work hard, respect your teammate, respect the opponent, respect the referee, and no matter what happens at the end of the day, it's just a game, and we have to respect each other. Now, don't get me wrong. There's been games where you've had, uh, you know, little tuffles between opponents and players, but overall, generally speaking, the game of rugby, the culture is just wow, something that I really haven't seen. To be honest with you, just being a fan of the major sports leagues here in the U.S. So yeah, it's pretty cool to watch. And and from a numbers perspective, we just wanted to just to do a brief overview of the comparison between the NFL, American football, MLS, Major League Soccer, and then we have the Professional Rugby League here in the US, which is known by Major League Rugby. We just wanted to do a comparison just to show people the potential that the sport of rugby has in this country if people were to actually watch it. Because again, just coming from a fan of the NFL and learning about the game of rugby, I was like, wow, I wish I would have really paid attention to this sport, earlier in my life because it is such an amazing sport. So yeah, it's pretty cool to watch and learn about the sport of rugby. I was wondering, again, I know you said that you've come to this country in 2010, if I'm not mistaken. Rifle, you said?
December of 2010 we landed, yeah.
Okay. So I was just wondering your experience with the NFL because obviously I'm sure you didn't watch much of it when you were live in the US. I was just wondering what your experience was with the NFL when you first arrived to the US.
Just because I'm the same as you in the sense of I love sport. I knew
Mm-hmm.
that when I came here, I wouldn't be able to have the rugby culture like I did in South Africa, or even
Mm.
moving to Taiwan later in Japan, playing there, watching the games there. Japan plays, obviously, Taiwan tries. But I had to find a sport because I can't not watch sport. I just enjoy sport so much. So, obviously, the biggest thing here, as you say, is the football.
Mm-hmm.
And when you arrive in December, obviously, what sport is on television? When you turn on the TV, what do they talk about 24/7 in December other than Santa Claus is the NFL?
NFL, yep.
So watching that, but it was astounding looking at even the college football, just the size and the magnitude of the game itself. So you have college fields that have, and in South Africa we say university. So you got a university field with 90,000 people at a
Mm-hmm.
university game, and there's not a open seat. And then when you start hearing about the salaries that these guys make, now college players get played, but the salaries the players make, the salaries the coaches make, we even discussed that once. The salary of a college coach is way more than Rassie Erasmus makes as two-time world champion. Steve Henson for New Zealand, the All Blacks, two-time world champion. All that they made is nothing in comparison to what the money does to sport, especially the NFL here in America. So it's huge. And then obviously in South Africa or England or New Zealand, people wear their All Black jerseys or England jerseys or Springbok jerseys, no matter what. But yeah, I mean, you've got how many, 30, 40 teams that play. So
Yeah.
there's so many jerseys to pick from, and you go to a different state and everyone's wearing that jersey. So the money, even just in sponsorship, it's just mind-boggling when you come from South African rugby and there's not enough. I remember at school there was never enough money for, we wanted to do this, and you had 2 or 3 tackle bags. These guys, they run on the field, they're 50 tackle bags. So it's just a whole different world because of the money. So size wise, and just the importance that football takes, because as I say, you can turn on the television any time of year, even when football is not happening, and there will be a program somewhere where they're discussing the off season, or they're discussing the draft, or which players should have been picked, or is it more important for this quarterback to make the NFL finals than this quarterback, and coaches that got fired and things like that. So
Yeah.
it's just impossible to compare financially and the magnitude of the game in America with football, numbers wise, than it is to rugby around the rest of the world. If that answers your question, I don't know.
No, no, yeah. It's a great thing, just to see um, from an outsider perspective. And please forgive the lack of a term. You're not an outsider. You're an American citizen now. But just, from a person that has fairly recently come to this country, who is now American citizen. I'm sure you're happy about that. Well, I know you're happy about that. Just to see from your perspective, growing up, the majority of your life, 2/3 of your life, you could say, being a rugby fan, and just experiencing another culture in South Africa, Japan, Taiwan. It is truly, I would imagine, like you say, astonishing the amount of money that's poured into sports in this country. It's just astonishing to any outsider perspective. So it truly is. I mean, just for me, I am a sports fan, American sports fan, and follow mostly NFL, NBA, some baseball. I mean, I watch baseball games, but I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan of baseball. So yeah, even to me, I've experienced it pretty much my whole life, and I'm still shocked when every time I see a NFL quarterback getting $250 million for 5 years. I'm like, oh my God. It's
Yeah,
just shocking, the contract money that these players get. And it's just part of the culture, sports culture in America. It's not, I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just part of the sports culture in this country. So yeah, it is astonishing the amount of money that's poured into sports throughout the different sports leagues in this country. It's just astonishing. It's just
yeah. Even
crazy.
the scholarship that people get to go to different universities, or to play, as you say here, college, just the money that they offer players. Or if you come here, even high school, if you're a good player, you showed me a field once of a football field of a high school in Texas.
Yes.
That was millions of dollars for a high school field in Texas that not everyone knows about. It's just, but
With a
the money that
capacity.
is put into the sport is just, it's phenomenal.
Yes, and with a 15,000 person capacity, that's a Texas high school field.
High school, yeah, that's amazing.
So we're getting, those teams in Texas. It's just Texas and Florida are two states that produce athletes like water in a kitchen sink. It's just amazing, those two states, how many athletes they produce in all sports, not just in football. So yeah, it is an amazing thing, and as everybody's seen here on this graphic here, we just wanted to compare just again these three different leagues, and just obviously as everybody sees here, take into account that Major League Rugby is only 8 years old. So you really have to take that into account. Major League Soccer is 29 years old, and then NFL is 105 years old. So the NFL has been around a lot longer, obviously. So obviously there's going to be disparity amongst the numbers and everything, but we just wanted to show um, just the potential that rugby has in this country. And again, if NFL fans were to give rugby a chance, not all of them, I'm not going to say all of them, but a good number of them will be like, wow, this actually is an exciting game. And we'll probably start watching. So yeah, so to all your NFL fans out there, give rugby a chance. Trust me, you won't regret it. It is an exciting game, and again, just the culture is just it's just amazing. Something that you don't see often in your typical, American sports league. So yeah, it's pretty cool to watch. And again, just the numbers here. Minimum salary in the NFL is 840,000. That's the minimum contractually. You have a kicker that maybe kicks the ball 4, 5, 6 times a game, making $840,000 a year in the NFL. So there you go. Maybe I should have became a kicker for the NFL. And then minimum salary in the Major League Soccer is about 81,000. Again, contractually, with their contracts, their current contracts that they've negotiated with the league. Now, Major League Rugby, and again, this is just because it's pretty much a league. It's still in its infancy. It's only 8 years old. Technically, they've only had 7 seasons because the 2020, because of COVID, was canceled. So technically, they've only had 7 seasons. So yeah, it's hard to get numbers for the Major League Rugby because they don't publicize their financials. But from what I've read and trying to do the best research that I could do, apparently, and again, they don't have, most of these players don't have contracts. So apparently, the minimum salary in the Major League Rugby is $20,000. So not too many people could live on $20,000 a year. So yeah, again, the big disparity between these 3 leagues. And then we have the average attendance that everybody can see here, and the revenue. NFL's revenue, $23 billion, which is that's a lot of money. $2 billion for the Major League Soccer. And again, from what I've read, anywhere the estimates are between 5 to 17 million in revenue for Major League Rugby. So yeah,
I think another thing, because you were asking people to maybe give rugby a chance. I think a lot of housewives or just wives, girlfriends would enjoy rugby just for the fact of, if you watch a Sunday night football game and you can ask the man how much time is left, and he says, "Oh, there's only 2 minutes on the clock. We got 2 minutes left." That 2 minutes turns into 15 or 20, depending on how the game goes, And the women are getting ready and, let's eat, or, oh, we still got to play. You said 2 minutes 15 minutes ago. What do you mean 2 minutes? So in rugby, 2 minutes is 2 minutes. You might have a couple of minutes injury time. So 2 minutes might be, 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
yeah.
But in football, my goodness, how much you got? 4 quarters. So it should be 60 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's over 3 hours a game with a stopping and starting and depending on, all of that. So just time-wise, saves a lot of time, and you jam-packed for those 80 minutes of rugby. Everything's happening there. There's no players coming on, players coming off. They all stay on the field. So the energy all the time is so much greater. So that's another reason why I think rugby is just so good compared, to American football.
So there you go. There's another argument for rugby. It may save your marriage or relationship.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like when my son on a Sunday night wants to watch a game and we sit, and mommy comes down, it's bedtime. How much time is there left? Only 2 minutes left. No, that 2 minutes drags out 15 or 20 sometimes. So yeah, time-wise, it's long.
That's funny. Yep. Yeah, yes, it is. It could drag on. And then you have timeouts, and then you have injuries, and then, yeah, it's true. Those 2 minutes can end up being 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, just continuing on with our episode here, we just wanted to just briefly cover the games and what we saw just from the women's and men's side, the two games. So the women's side was very interesting because the Lady Eagles started the game very dominant. At halftime, the score was 26-14. So, you know, that score may seem closer than what it really was, and we're gonna get into a play that the U.S. did in the first half that allowed Fiji to score. That you're like, oh no, why did she do that? And we'll get into that play. But in the first half, again, 26-14, you may say, hey, okay, Fiji was putting in a fight, only down 12, but really the U.S. was very dominant in the first half, and a try was scored by Fiji because of a huge error by U.S. Lady Eagle player. So yeah, so that's that. And then in the second half, I don't know, your Eiffel. I must have counted about 9 knock-ons by the U.S. Lady Eagles. I was like, ladies, what are you doing? It felt like every 2 minutes, knock on USA, scrum to Fiji. It felt like
Yeah.
the commentator was saying that every 2 minutes.
And they got so many penalties as well, just
Hmm.
maybe 10, 15 meters from the US try line. And for whatever reason, they didn't go for the corner kick or they didn't go for posts. They just called scrum after scrum after scrum. So that was also something that, maybe if they had a good kicker, that could have changed, but they went for the scrums all the time. So started off very good for the US Eagles first half, but Fiji, also didn't lie down, didn't stop. They
Yes.
tried right till the end.
Hmm.
In the last minute of the game, they were still in there with a fight. So it was good rugby. It was a good game.
Yes, yes, it was. Until probably, I believe, the U.S. scored. I can't remember exactly what minute they scored their last try in the second half, but a good portion of the second half, it was 26-24. And
Yes,
like you
two
say,
point difference. Yeah,
yeah, and Fiji was really giving it to the U.S. Lady Eagles, and it was a tough, tough second half. It was a totally different second half, and let's just give Fiji some credit here. The reason why U.S. was committing all these penalties and these knockouts was because Fiji's defense was really, uh, was really giving it to the U.S. So the defense, Fiji's defense in the second half, was probably a major reason why the U.S. was a little off in the second half.
yeah. I don't know if you can hear a noise in the background, but it's summer holiday, so the kids are on
Okay.
holiday and they've got friends and there's music and all of that. So for
Oh,
anyone watching thinking there's noise in the background, yes, there is. My kids are on holiday and they've got friends, so they're playing in the background. So excuse that.
no worry. At least I can't hear it, so no worries.
Okay,
Kids
I
will be
definitely
kids.
can.
Remember, this podcast is about rugby and life, so that's part of
Life,
life.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So yeah, so on the men's side, we've spoken a little bit about the men's game. Again, England dominant throughout the game. Again, this is my opinion. It kind of looks like England let US score at the end of the game. Again, that's just my opinion. Please, all the US Eagle fans, don't hate me. That's just my humble opinion. But yeah, I mean, there's not much to say in this game. England dominated from beginning to end. Um, the one player that you, at the beginning of the game, that you pointed out to me was Cunningham South. And we're just going to showcase him in one of the highlighted plays that we're going to show in a couple of minutes or so. So yeah, Cunningham South, this is a giant of a man. Wow.
And you would remember him from the previous year's autumn
Mm,
series. He came on sometimes as reserve, and they were saying he can be lock, he can play in the back, eighth man or flank, big guy, fast. So he's a good line out option to go to.
mm.
So he's young. So, we could see many, many years of him still ahead. So it was easy to pick him up playing on last Saturday because he's that good.
Yes, and just again, when you pointed him out, we're and again, although the seats were high up and I had a leg workout going up those steep steps in the stadium,
It was
we
only
had,
115 rows, Danny.
oh, that's it, that's it. But the good thing about that is being that high up, you get to see the whole field and you get to see the whole game. And it's like you said, you get to see players setting up plays and stuff like that. So the good thing about those seats, even though you get a leg workout, you do get to see the whole field and all the plays and how the plays start setting up. So that's the good thing about that. And just watching Cunningham South, we're way up there, and you could still see how big this guy is.
Mm.
Just way up there, you could just see how big he is. I was like, wow, I would not want to be in the scrum or get tackled by that guy. He is a beast.
Yeah, a
Even
lot
when
of
you're
promise.
far away, you could tell he's a beast. So yeah, so again, that's the little I guess commentary on the men's side. Again, just England just dominated, being one of the top teams in the world. We were expecting that this was going to be the outcome, but nonetheless, the U.S. Eagles, the men's Eagles, scored a try, and they toughed it out to the end. So good for them.
Yes.
And just to end the episode here, again, I just wanted to show four plays, two from the women's game and two from the men's game. So this first play, and let me just make this a little bigger here. So this first play was from, oh, just give me a second here. My computer, there we go. Does not want to cooperate. There we go. So this first play is the play that I had just mentioned a few minutes ago of the Fiji scoring, and you're just like, no, why did the US do that? But it happened, and Fiji took advantage of it, and they scored. So let me just have the play here. So we have, again, this is Fiji kicking the ball, trying to gain territory. Kick of the ball. We have the US player backpedaling, and for some reason, she decides to pat the ball back into field of play. A Fiji player gets the ball. They start attacking, and they just don't give up. Great passes, and Fiji scores a try. So when I saw that played live, and I saw the US, I guess she thought she had teammates behind her and didn't realize that her teammates were like 15, 20 meters away. So yeah, when I saw that play live and I saw the US player tipping the ball back into the player field, and I saw the Fiji player pick it up, I was like, I already knew. I was like, oh, they're gonna score. And I was like, no, why did she do that?
Maybe she
So
was
yeah,
watching Colby of South Africa. He's
yeah.
pretty good with that. But as you say, you must have more players around you to support. So if you go and you knock the ball back in, hopefully one of your players are there to take it and then get a good kick or start running. But if you knock it in and there's no one there, just you got to go all the way back to pick up the ball and then you got 3 or 4 blue jerseys. The Fijians are there to get the ball and start their counter attack immediately. So unfortunately, it didn't work for her.
Yes, it is unfortunate. I'm sure that the U.S. player, obviously, if she could have that back, she'd be like, okay, I would never do that again. So, yeah. So, the second play I wanted to highlight here is, and this play, I don't know about you, just seeing this play live, this play took me off guard. And let me just let me just show the play and everybody will see why. So we have the U.S. Lady Eagles literally a foot away from the try line, and they're trying to get that ball, but Fiji's defense, again, was just amazing. Trying harder to get that ball. Still, Fiji's defense is short. And then we have this. Wow.
Brilliant kick.
But let me just show you something in this replay, everybody, that I noticed in this play. And that's what makes this play even more genius. Because I realized this. So we have here, you see this number 21 here. She's telling everybody to go towards the other touchline. I guess if you're facing the field left, towards the left touchline. You see that right there? You see how 21 looked to the side? That's when she noticed that the other player is on the other side of the field. And she keeps telling her players, come on, keep pushing. We're going to push it to this side. And that's when, boom. So essentially, 21 knew that that player was there. And she kept drawing. And the U.S. players, kept drawing the Fijian players to the other touchline to set up that player in the corner to kick it to them and score a try. So watching this replay, I was like, wow, what genius. They were pushing the ball that way on purpose to set up that other player to kick. So it was just a genius play. Just a genius play when you watch it. Amazing. And then the last two plays obviously are from the men's game here. So this first play, it's not really a scoring. There's no try scored in this highlight here. I just wanted to show everyone what we were talking about. The player that we were talking about, Cunningham South. So right here we form a maul, and then our friend Cunningham South just gets into that maul, and you'll see what he does. So
He's
this
number
is
6.
number 6 right here. You see him. So this is number 6 right here. You can see him. What a giant! Just compare him to all the other guys. Look how tall that guy is. He's giant of a man. So he's in the ball and he's fighting for that ball. And eventually he just snatches it, like if he was snatching it away from a child. And I mean, this guy is just a beast. And granted, everybody, that this was the USA had the ball. It wasn't English possession. It was the US possession. And Cunningham South just went in there and said, give me that. Like if he was taking away from a child and just pushing 4 men back.
Yeah,
What
he's
a
strong. He's
player.
good.
He is a bull. And I mean that with all respect. And then we have a try here. Again from New England. I'm sorry, not New England. From England. So again, this is just, and this happened many times throughout the game. I just want to point something out. So we have an English score. And this is the one thing that US has to work on is their lapse of defense many times throughout the game. The defensive play is just unfortunately subpar at many times in the game. And we could see here we have England spreading the ball, and look at 1, 2 players within what, 5 meters, 10 meters of the ball where the ball is at. And obviously, when your defense is lacking, as you always tell me, Rifle, when you play defensive rugby, you want to be as straight as possible in order to close those gaps. And
Right, because England, they've got a huge overlap. So they've got more white jerseys than blue, and then you're in trouble. And there's a
yes,
huge gap between the blues as well. So that's even bigger trouble.
yes, and that's exactly what happened. A huge gap in the defense. Obviously, England takes advantage of it, and they score a try. So yes, this was the last, and just to stick it to the U.S., they scored a try before the end of the first half. And you always said it, Rifle, when you score a try before the end of a first half, that's demoralizing for a team. Doesn't matter what team you are. When you let the opponent score a try right before the end of the half, that's demoralizing in any sport. In the NFL, it's the same thing. You know, when there's a game and you let a team score with like a touchdown with like 2 or 3 seconds left in the first half, that's like, why did we do that?
You know, that hurts in the change room halftime if you're just giving points away, especially if it was a easy, easy score. If it
Yes.
was a great play or whatever, but many times it's just lack of concentration or you're thinking about halftime and not everyone is in their position. But if you go into the change room at halftime giving away 5 or 7 points, that always stings. Mentally, now you got to come out and you got to make up for that. It's not a good place to be mentally.
No, 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 it's not. And it's like you say, especially against a team that, again, is a powerhouse in the world. And it's just reality. It's just being objective. They're a better team on paper. They're a better team on the field. Yes, but giving a try right before the end of the first half is just something you want to avoid as much as possible. So yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone, again, that was just wanted to highlight our great weekend that we had. Me and Rifle, his family, and a couple friends from Georgia, a couple friends from Florida, just and a friend from North Carolina actually as well. So yeah, what a great weekend! Great rugby, seeing a 17,000 people in a rugby match is all exciting stuff. And hopefully, rugby over the next few years begins to grow and begins to get just the viewership that it deserves, because it truly is a great sport. And culture, it's rugby's culture is just something that again, just being an American sports fan, something that you don't see too much in American sports. So yeah, great overall.
Was
So
a
with
great
that,
experience. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one.
yes, I am as well. So with that, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Rifle, my friend, thank you again for setting up the trip, for just having a great weekend, and for just being here again,
You're very
learning,
welcome. Thanks everyone for watching. Yeah.
yeah, learning and talking about the game of rugby. So with that, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next time.
Cheers, everyone.
Take care, everybody. Thank you for watching this episode of Rugby with Rifle. Remember to press the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet to support this podcast.